Voted Worst Company in America for 2 consecutive years by Consumerist Magazine. Known for the destruction of smaller studios. Authors of the most downvoted comment in Reddit history. These are just a few of the many reasons Electronic Arts is one of the most hated video game companies around. So, why are they so hated? To start, they have a history of acquiring smaller gaming studios and then running their beloved franchises into the ground. Like EA did when it purchased Origin Systems in 1992. Origin Systems was a pioneer in computer role-playing games, with its popular Ultima series. But after EA acquired the company, budget cuts and corporate deadlines rushed the developers. When Ultima 9 was released, severe bugs and a storyline that contradicted original Ultima lore left longtime fans less than impressed. The game was prone to crashes, items would float in midair, and shopkeepers would wander from their shops, making buying or selling items impossible, to list a few of the game's issues. EA began canceling future Ultima productions and officially dissolved Origin Systems in 2004. But Ultima was just one of a long list of games fans say were ruined when EA took over. Like when they toned down the horror elements of Visceral Games' Dead Space and included microtransactions, or when they turned the beloved Dungeon Keeper series into a tedious mobile game requiring real money purchases of gems to speed up the play.
So I went to the store and I bought gems, and here you can see they're really expensive because you get just what was it 500? You get 500 for $4.99. Look at that, $99. $99 for 14,000 gems is a lot of gems, but $99 is a lot of money, and I'm not allowed to spend.
When EA isn't busy running franchises into the ground, they instead work their employees to the bone. Highlighted in this once anonymous blog post by user EA Spouse. In the post, they refer to themselves as a disgruntled spouse whose partner was being mandated to work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week for EA. While crunch time is common when game release dates are near, long hours were the norm at EA, who, according to the post, offered no overtime or comp time for their overworked employees. The post went viral, and shortly after, 2 class action lawsuits were filed against EA on behalf of the video game artists and programmers, which EA settled for a total of $30.5 million. But these wouldn't be the only lawsuits EA faced. Sports franchise games make up over 70% of EA's revenue, and while they had a stranglehold on the market for a while, their dominance was challenged in 2004 when NFL 2K5 was released. It was the first football-centered games to really compete with EA's reigning dominance in the genre. NFL 2K5 was priced nearly $30 less than EA's Madden, and as fans flocked to 2K5, EA was forced to lower the price of Madden to stay competitive. Of course, this kind of marketplace competition benefits consumers. But shortly after, EA entered into a series of exclusive agreements with the NFL, AFL, and NCAA. These exclusive agreements essentially prevented any other companies from producing football-based games, allowing EA to monopolize interactive football software. EA then increased the price for Madden nearly 70%. A class action lawsuit was filed against EA for these anti-competitive practices, which they settled, agreeing to pay out $27 million in damages. They were also barred from holding exclusive rights to the NCAA, but EA was able to maintain their exclusive rights with the NFL, which they still hold today, nearly 20 years later. Critics of EA say these exclusive rights have them turning out new Madden games every year, but with no competition, EA has not really had to innovate or improve the game year after year. Exclusivity agreements aren't the only way EA tries to pad its pockets, though. The dreaded loot box or microtransaction is another way they nickel and dime consumers. But they may have went too far with it when they released Star Wars Battlefront 2 in 2017. While loot crates were common in games prior to Battlefront, they typically just contained skins or emotes that didn't affect gameplay. This wasn't the case in Battlefront. Players needed loot crates to unlock or upgrade players, abilities, and weapons. Though EA claimed everything could be unlocked via gameplay, realistically, acquiring enough loot crates to do so would take countless hours of grinding. Some estimated you would have to play the game for over 4,500 hours before unlocking everything. By far, the most efficient way to progress in the game was to purchase loot crates with real-world money. Fans of the game were disappointed. Seriously? I paid $80 to have Vader locked? This age of microtransactions has gone way too far, one Reddit user posted. EA's response to the players' frustration famously became the most downvoted comment in Reddit history. The intent is to provide players with a sense of pride and accomplishment for unlocking different heroes, they wrote. But the fans' backlash was enough for EA to make a statement prior to Battlefront's official release, saying, "We hear you loud and clear, so we're turning off all in-game purchases." Battlefront wasn't the only popular EA game with microtransactions, though. FIFA also introduced loot boxes in the form of what they called player packs while in Ultimate Team mode. Gamers would try to build the best team, but players would have to be unlocked via player packs. The better the player, the harder they were to find, encouraging people to spend money to open more packs. The revenue from player packs alone quadrupled yearly revenue for FIFA game sales, coming in at $1.6 billion in 2021. The outrage over pay-to-win games drew enough attention that governments began investigating loot boxes as potential forms of unregulated gambling, leading EA to have to disable them in some countries. To tone down some of the gambling aspect of player packs, EA did introduce a pack preview, allowing gamers to see what is in the pack prior to purchasing. EA has defended its use of loot boxes, comparing them to the collectible toys found in Kinder Surprise Eggs. Regardless, microtransactions in full-priced games leaves a bad taste in many people's mouth. With all that said, it shouldn't come as a surprise when EA was voted Worst Company in America in 2012. EA spokesman at the time said, "We're sure that bank presidents, oil, tobacco, and weapon companies are all relieved they weren't on the list this year." But when EA again was voted Worst Company in America in 2013, for the second year in a row, Consumerist asked, "When we live in an era marked by massive oil spills, faulty foreclosures by bad banks, and rampant consolidation in the airline and telecom industry, what does it say about EA's business practices that so many people have, for the second year in a row, come out to hand it the title of Worst Company in America?" EA responded by saying, "We take it seriously and we want to see it change." Although once widely hated, EA is still a powerhouse in the gaming community, with reported revenue of over $7 billion in 2024. And though they have a reputation of ruining beloved games, it's likely they're also responsible for some of your favorite games as well.